Hello, seekers. Welcome to While We Exist. We are back with yet another interesting and important discussion. Today, I have a very special friend of mine with me, Raunak Sharma. How are you doing, Raunak?
I'm good, Yash. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, buddy. I'm great. Uh, Something about Raunak. He did his engineering with me. His core branch was chemical engineering, but he was more interested in finance and economics. I have learned a lot from him, and I'm still learning. Uh, but this brings me to the topic of discussion today. The topic of discussion today is finance. Uh, a recent stat that I came across in India, the financial literacy rate is 24%. Okay. Now, if we talk about developed countries like the US, London, or let's say Germany, it's above 50%. Okay. Now, let me tell you what financial literacy basically means. If you know personal finance management, budgeting, and investing, you are financially literate, financial literate. If you don't know any of these, you are illiterate. Okay, that's what we define financial literacy as. So it's 24% in India, and if you talk about the developed country, it's more than 50%. One more interesting stat: if we talk about investing in stocks in India, only 2% of the total population invests in stocks. If we again talk about, let's say, America, it's the percentage goes above 50. So these are daunting numbers. This is what motivated me to have a discussion about this, because if we want, like, we are dreaming to be a superpower, these stats need to be improved. We need to know how to handle money better. So, Ronak will today help us to dig deep into this issue. Also, tell us something about finance. We'll start with basics, but we'll go deep inside. So, are you ready, Ronak?
First thing first, thanks a lot, Yash, to have me here. I think it's this is my first podcast, so pretty excited to be here. And yeah, I'll try my level best to answer all your questions and to the best of my knowledge, obviously. So yeah, let's get started. So I would like to revisit the stat that you mentioned about
Sure.
stock market, right? Stock market investments in India is around 2%.
Yes, yes.
So I'll like to throw another stat for that particular point. So in
Okay.
India, around 1.6% people, if you consider adults, only
Mhm.
1.6% people file ITR, that is income tax return.
Okay.
So that's a daunting number because
You,
so
you
out
said
of
1.6%.
yeah, that's 1.6%.
Okay, all right.
So I mean, which showcases that like people are not earning money enough, to be very honest. And if at all they
Mhm.
are earning money, the penetration of the income tax or the taxation structure through which the government earns money is not good enough. So why is that? First thing first, we need to understand why only 1.6% people of India pays tax.
Mhm.
What happens to the rest of them? They are not
Yes, you're right.
they
Like
are not
1.6%, it's so
is
less.
Yeah, so around, I think in the last financial year, it was, if you talk about the absolute number, it's around 6 crore people of India. And you're
Okay.
not considering, I'm not considering the zero tax bracket, that is less than 5 lakhs, if I'm not wrong. So people,
Yes.
there'll be certain people in that tax bracket. So basically, they're not contributing anything towards the revenue of the government, which is
Mm-hmm.
income tax, to be very honest.
Okay. Okay.
So, so you need to understand, for a country to be investing a lot in stock market, first thing first, they need to earn money.
Mm-hmm.
And to earn, and then only they'll be having the surplus money after paying the basic needs, paying for the basic needs, and meeting their basic needs, and paying for their education and their children's education. And after all those things, whatever money is left, we tend to invest in stocks. So basically, currently, our country has not grown enough, to be very honest, to have any kind of impact over the stock market. But let's be honest. I mean, it's a young country. How old are we? 70 years. So we have a long way to go. Obviously, slowly and steadily, that number is going to increase. And when it comes to financial literacy, yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, how do you define financial literacy? As you mentioned, three things. I mean, budgeting, and those 2 points.
Well, yeah. I'll just repeat: personal finance management, budgeting, and investing.
Okay. Yeah. So it's an interesting way of looking, but I'll give you an example. The household workers, I mean, the household helps that we usually have, they are good enough financially literate, to be very honest. I've come across their financial literacy to be, I found them very literate, to be honest. They even know about inflation and stuff. I mean, the home help that I have currently, she pretty much mentioned in the initial days only that her pay is going to be raised 10% every year. So I think these are the small things that these indexes or metrics do not calculate. So we have that kind of understanding of money, how basically the money works. It's just that we are not good enough to formulate it in a structured manner and put it on paper. Maybe that's why probably we don't know about this financial literacy thing. But yes, when it comes to actually penetrating the market of India, to have good enough financial literacy, you need stock market. So they need to invest in something. When they will invest in something, then only they will gain anything out of it, or the country will gain anything out of it. So that is something that obviously we need to look at. How will we attract them towards any kind of investment, be it stock market, be it even having a bank account first thing first, so that that money is going to at least even earn a fixed deposit rate that is 5% or 6%.
Right.
So yeah, that sums it up. I mean, we have a long way to go. I mean, still we are working on it, definitely.
I get your point. India is essentially a poor country. So we can't expect that number to be on the same level as, let's say, a developed country, which US or UK is.
I mean, 2% of India is in absolute numbers is more than many countries. So, right. I mean,
But you know what I feel? Even, let's say, there are many people who earn money, enough money to save or invest, but they are just not, I don't know, I don't know what the term is. I don't want to say they are not they are financially illiterate, but I don't know. They just, the whole money flow, how the money flows. If you can save this much, if you can only spend this much, invest this much. I hear a lot about these in these ways of actually growing, actually becoming rich. But no, I don't think many of us does, including me. I earn enough to save or invest, okay? But frankly speaking, I don't have enough financial knowledge to grow my money. So do you think this is an issue even with people who have money?
Definitely. So I mean, there are multiple points that we can talk about. To understand this thing, I think we need to firstly understand the psychology of Indian culture. So India as a country has these traditional values, and traditionally we have been a risk-averse country, to be honest. You know, culturally we don't like to take risks, to be very honest. We like to stick to our basic principles and traditions that has been in place. And you must have come across, you know, our parents talking that we should invest, you shouldn't be investing in bonds and these kinds of things. We should be only investing in land or gold per se, because because it's safe investment. They can see it, land, they can see it, it's real asset. First thing first, even when Amazon and Flipkart came in India, you must remember that we were scared of these online payments. We used to like cash on delivery. That's how Flipkart got into the market. So we are always risk averse. We like to see stuff and then buy it. So we can see land, we can see gold, we like to buy it. So as we have got literate technically, should I say technologically literate? I mean, our parents have started investing. Our parents have started using online digital payments and all these things. So it's all about how the culture of a country changes. So now, obviously, we all are getting more financially literate with the help of Facebooks and I mean YouTubes. You can watch multiple videos. So I mean, it's all about information and knowledge. The more you educate a person, the better that person is going to be. So it's all about, with time, we just need to wait and watch, and obviously it's going to penetrate into the market, this financial literacy thing.
I agree to your points, Raunak, especially the one about us being a risk averse country. India is not known to be risk takers, I believe, in average. So, for some of us or many of us, investing is a type of gamble. If, let's say, we don't know uh, let's say we're not that literate enough. So, I want to ask your opinion. How can we penetrate our Indian society to make them financial literate? What can be the basic steps we can take?
Uh, it's it's all about first developing the interest in the youth, in the society, first thing first. So I mean, so I'll compare India with any other country, like let's say Western country. In Western country, what happens is that you have to start earning from a very early age, let's say 16, to start working in some restaurant or in some mall, or any handy job that you might do to earn some amount of money. So that gives you an idea of having a sense of budget, income, expenses. Right. These are the simple basic things that you start learning at a very early age. So you understand the flow of money, as you mentioned earlier, that you need to understand the flow of money to have, first thing first, have an interest in money, and then you will understand, okay, what should I do with this flow of money? How should I control this flow of money? So I think this is something that is missing from India, to be very honest. I mean, we start earning after completing our graduation, and till then we have no knowledge about finance and budgeting and personal finance or anything. So I think it's very important to bring these kinds of education into our curriculum. I think our curriculum is very, very old.
Are you talking about a school curriculum?
Yeah, school curriculum. Okay. I think we should have this basic. So for me, as you mentioned, that I was into chemical engineering, but I was more interested in economics and finance. So the first time that I was exposed to the field of economics and finance was in college, when we were in second year. So that is a very old. That's a very late stage of a man's career, to be very honest, to have the first exposure to money, to be very honest. So I think we need to bring this thing into our schooling system. Have little exposure. I mean, when you teach EVS, and when you teach, stuff that might not be very helpful in the practical world, then why can't you teach something which is extremely, extremely important in practical world? So yeah, I think it's high time we start with our youth first. Then I think we will definitely be more financially literate, and we will have much more understanding about the financial markets also. And I would also like to touch upon the fact that let's say we are talking about people like us who have who are not going to study anymore, who are not going to go into the education system now. So we have all the resources in the world, to be very honest. I think it's all what it takes is curious mind. I think people like you are so curious about every other field. So why not finance? I mean, just pick up a website, just read about it, and start investing. And today, I mean, investing is the easiest stuff to do, to be very honest. I mean, it's on phone. You just need to go out there and just buy a stock. That's it. But again, when it comes to, as you mentioned, for some of us, it is like gambling. It can be considered as a gambling if you don't know anything about stock and you just go out there and randomly buy any stock, as recently happened with that stock. What's the name of the stock? Gamestop, Reddit fund. I think
that blowed my mind.
Yeah, it was a bizarre phenomenon, to be very honest. So, I mean, yeah, we can have like 1 hour session of discussion over that also. I mean, it's related to behavioral finance, to be very honest.
Would you like to just explain us quickly what actually happened in GameStop?
In layman language, let's. So, okay, so let me take you back long time ago, when the whole world considered that the Earth is flat, right? Everyone used to think that the Earth is flat, and whoever said anything against that was considered to be an idiot.
Yes, idiots also,
against the crowd.
Yeah,
so it's all about what people are saying. So a group of people start talking about something that, yeah, sun rises in the west, and they start believing in that stuff. So it doesn't mean that it's true, but yeah, I mean, anyone in that particular room with, let's say, 100 people, any one person will say against those 100 people, obviously he'll be considered mad in that particular room. So this is what happened with GameStop. I mean, random bunch of people. It's all about supply and demand. So if the supply of a particular stuff is lesser than the demand, the price is going to be high, right?
Yes.
It's simple economy. So the the stocks are limited, and people suddenly on Reddit started buying it out of nowhere.
Okay, just a bunch of people decided to buy stocks, and they just posted it on Reddit. Okay.
Yeah, same thing happened with Signal stock. Elon Musk tweeted Signal, one word Signal, and the stock skyrocketed. Was there any logic behind it? So these things happen in this. So in today's world, we live. We live in a world which has a problem of abundance. We have abundance of information. Earlier, we used to have scarcity. Now we have abundance. The issue is not
exactly.
We have abundance of information, random information throwing, which doesn't make sense at times. So this is that typical example. I mean, Andho mein Kana Raja. It's a saying in Hindi. So one man out of that particular person is going to say some random stuff, and everyone is going to believe that.
Yes, which also tells us that stock prices and everything runs on market emotion. It has nothing to do with like it has to for the stable stocks, but what really scared me is like a bunch of people can actually they can raise a company from ground to the top, or they can like this is also, I have this weird theory that if this is possible, the GameStop situation, let's say a country just decides to screw up its, let's say, enemy country, and it can really just launch attacks on social media like this Reddit one to fluctuate the stocks of the companies of that other country. So is it possible, like, if this is possible, theoretically, is this possible?
So the thing is, a country cannot directly invest in another country's stock, actually. So that's called FDI, foreign direct investment. So what happens is that a government, how does a government invest? Like, let's say Indian government, if Indian government wants to invest in, let's say, Apple, how is it going to do? We need to understand the mechanism first. So it's a different way. For a first thing first, how an American is going to invest in Apple will be different from how an Indian individual investor is going to invest in Apple, and it is going to be different from how a sovereign investor is going to invest in a private company of a different sovereign. That is, in this case, Indian government is going to invest in Apple. So what happens is that there are certain rules when it comes to sovereign investments. So Indian government cannot directly go and buy Apple. First, it needs to declare to the government of USA that why am I investing, or why are we investing, or how much stock they are purchasing. And then there are rules and everything. So every country has rules for specific other country. Like India has rules for its neighboring countries. Pakistan government and Bangladesh government cannot invest directly, can buy like any number of stocks of a particular Indian company. It's not possible. And fresh addition to this particular list is China after this whole India-China controversy. So even theoretically, it will be very difficult for a country to play around with the stock market prices of a particular private company of any other sovereign, to be very honest. But yes, individual investors do, these multinational.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these big, I mean, insider trading, you must have heard about this. So insider trading is a kind of this kind of thing only, in which an information, you play with information which is not public. So let's say you are working, let's say a guy working in Amazon comes to a sensitive information which has a potential to change the stock price, and he acts on it before that particular information gets public. That is called insider trading. Same way, people, some certain powerful people, influential people, to gain out of a particular investment of a particular stock, what they do is that they spread around misinformation about that particular stock. They can simply, like, it can be anything. If it's a pharma company, it can be that a particular test gone wrong and like 100 people died of a particular medicine. It can be anything. It can be related to anything. So I mean, yeah, these things happen. So I mean, people who are shorting a particular stock. So shorting means selling the particular stock, betting against a particular stock. They what they do is they spread around negative information about a particular company, and the people who are buying a particular stock, what they'll do, they'll spread misinformation related, positive news basically. So yeah, these things happen.
Yes, market runs on emotion. In short terms, if you look at it, in short terms, it definitely runs on emotion.
Definitely. The shorter the time span you're looking at, the more the emotion.
Yes, right. Also, have you seen Scam 1992?
Oh yeah. That Harshal Mehta case.
I think many of us have seen that show, and after that, we have some knowledge of how a stock market works.
Okay,
that was a good show.
In that misinformation was one of the one of the most
misinformation was like the main thing which they were showing. Okay. Let's come to our next segment. Now that we are trying to understand basic personal finance, let's also talk about some basic terms. Let's talk about inflation. Would you like us to tell us something about inflation and some things that we have to know so that we can keep ourselves ahead of it?
So inflation, like in simple terms, let's not, I mean, in simple terms, how would you say inflation? Like, if you remember when we were in school, I think 100 rupees was extremely, like, it was good enough money for a school kid to be very honest. Today, I think 500 is not going to be enough. The kids these days need at least 1,000 rupees to go out there and do any kind of stuff. I mean, even go to a movie, it will cost you around 300, 400 rupees. So I mean, in simple language, it's simply the reduction of purchasing power for a specific amount of money. In simple language. So 1 lakh rupees in 2010 was worth much more than what it is today. So why does this thing happen? We need to understand why this happens. So inflation happens because of this interconnection. I mean, everything in this world is connected. I mean, when you buy this particular shirt, it has reached to you through a web of connectivity. The first thing first, someone would have produced that cotton, then went to garment manufacturer, then transported. So even rise in price of one particular component out of this whole value chain will have an effect on the other because it's connected, right? I mean, let's say petrol, diesel prices are like on an all-time high. 100 rupees, it has touched almost in India. In most of the states, it has touched 100 rupees. So now what's going to happen? The transportation is going to increase because petrol is needed, diesel is needed in these trucks and these buses and everything. So obviously the price of everything is going to increase. So how will you compensate for that? What do you do about it? Obviously, you'll have to earn more, right? So it's like this interconnectivity of things leads to this increase in price, because obviously if one thing is going to change, the other things are going to change. Now, inflation is good also, because when you spend 2 years, 3 years in a particular company, you expect the pay raise to keep increasing with 15%, right? Why do you expect
Mm-hmm.
the pay raise to be increasing with 15%? Because it's an incentive for your expertise, right? You want your expertise to be valued more sequentially. Eventually, you are becoming a better, let's say, a software programmer or a computer engineer or a financial advisor. So you want to be compensated more than what you were compensated earlier. So this also leads this basically leads for you to have an incentive to do more hard work. So in way, somewhat inflation is very, very important and very, very needed. That's your incentive
Yes.
to work, basically. So
Right.
this way it's very important. But again, in life in general, I think excess of anything is bad. So excess of inflation is also bad. Totally absence of inflation is also bad, to be very honest. So yeah, so this is the basic thing that everyone needs to understand, that everything is interconnected, and the price movement of one particular thing will have an effect on the price movement of other things. And this is how it works. So now, to compensate for that, this inflation, we need to have this understanding that how much inflation it is every year. So this is why
Yep.
the government
Yep.
publishes this inflation rate. So what is this inflation rate? 4%, 5%. It's the
Hmm.
weighted average of all the basket of goods that an average person would consume on a day-to-day basis. Let's say food, let's say
Okay.
clothes, let's say I mean petrol prices, let's say
Hmm.
anything and everything
Everything
that you,
basic. Everything basic or
yeah,
everything?
everything basic.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there are multiple indexes of measuring this particular index. And what are those indexes? Different sets of baskets of goods. So retail inflation will look at only retail products. Consumer price index, CPI will look at the basic basket of goods, which consist of food, clothes, petrol,
Okay. Okay.
and these things. So this is the way we measure that. Okay, this is for the RBI to have a look. Okay, the inflation is under control. It's around 3%, 4%. It's cool. Everything is going good. When it goes to, let's say, 5%, 6%, then it's a time to worry, because okay, the value of your rupees is declining pretty fast, which is not good. You need
Right.
to have it under control. So this number they usually publish to have a control of this particular, growth in each. You are giving incentive for people to grow also, as well as you're keeping it under control so that it doesn't spin out of hand. So it's in simple language, that's it.
Wow, that I thought I knew inflation, but I really got two, three very insightful points here. First, inflation is important. Like it is necessary.
Yeah,
That is an incentive for you
right.
to level up, basically.
True.
That is an important point. Second, inflation is because you have such a huge chain of network. Any change, any increase in prices, any one component will rise the whole price of the product.
Correct.
So yeah,
Correct. Correct.
that is like inevitable. It has to happen.
Yeah, inevitable. Correct. Absolutely.
Right. Right. Okay. So, but one thing I wanted to understand was, so you said 3-4% we consider it's okay. When the inflation rate is around 5-6%, then it's the time to worry.
So yeah, I mean, you will ask why 3%, why not
Hmm.
2%, why this number, why did I come up with this particular number? So this again, I mean, you need to get into the details of technical details of why 3%. So I mean, these economists and everyone, they look at, so it's called fiscal. There is a committee, FSCA. I mean, I may be wrong about the abbreviation. So basically, it's the financial committee of the RBI and the Ministry of the Commerce that come together and set up rules to to come up with an inflation
Hmm.
target. So they
Okay.
target that it should be 3%. Why do they come up with 3%? It's the practical approach, hit and trial method for a long period of time that we have been doing for, like,
Hmm.
let's say, 70 years, and we know that this is the 3% that is going to keep the economy under control, and it is practiced all over the world. I mean, 3% is 3 to 5% is considered to be the perfect number for inflation all around the globe. Most of the economists agree on that. obviously, I mean, you'll have to debate with these economists to go in very, very detail why 3% is the correct number. Obviously, it's the hit and trial and simulation
I
kind
think
of thing
yes,
that you need to run.
that's a result of like many years, the process that has
Many
happened.
years of
So
process. Yeah.
okay, let's trust the percentage. Let's trust the value.
We are
Okay.
not anyway good enough to like
Yeah,
challenge them.
exactly. Okay. Okay, good talk about inflation. Let's come to our next segment, and a segment which I consider the most important one. So we have heard a lot about investing, a lot about investing. You should invest. So I wanted to know what are different types of investing. Okay, what are the different options a person has. Okay, let's start with the basic ones. Let's say a person who is listening to this podcast who has no financial knowledge, let's say what he can do, and then let's go to the advanced investing
Hmm.
options.
Uh,
Over to you.
Before I start talking about different options of investing and everything, I would also like to mention another point. When we think
Hmm.
about inflation, we also need to consider how much our money is growing. So when we say
Hmm.
when we say that in FD we are getting 6%, 7%, always I think this is an advice for everyone. You should always subtract the inflation rate. Just Google what is the inflation rate of India this year. Just subtract it, and
Hmm.
that's your real growth rate of your money. So always keep inflation in mind, then only look at what options you have. Now, when it comes
Okay.
to options, there are multiple number of options. I mean, obviously, stock market is one of them. So, in stock market, what you can do is you can invest in equity. So, what is equity? First, you
Hmm.
need to understand, and what is debt? You need to understand. So, equity is the money that you have. I mean, the cash that you have that you own. It can be the value of your house also. I mean, that's your total value. I mean, assets is equals to equity minus liability. You need to understand this particular equation first.
Okay,
So
got it.
assets, all your assets. What are your assets? Your house, the
Mm-hmm.
car you own, the clothes you wear, and all those things that you can actually go in the market and sell off and get some cash for it, right? What are
Yes.
your liabilities? Liabilities
Right,
are something that,
loans.
yeah, exactly. In simple language, things for which you have to pay
Hmm.
today or
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Can be anytime. It
Okay.
can be tomorrow also. Loans,
Mm-hmm.
basically, you pay little for something, for a benefit that you have availed right now. Okay,
Hmm.
so you're basically paying for that benefit that you availed right now. That's called liability. So overall, your equity will be something that you actually have. So
Right.
so for a company, if you when you invest in a particular company, let's say buy the stock of Reliance, what I'm doing, I'm earning a certain percentage of I'm owning a certain percentage of Reliance, right?
Yes.
So this
Yes.
is stock market. You can also give loan to Reliance. Now, what you're doing is that you are buying debt. When we say I'm investing in debt, so what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing is that I'm buying debt of Reliance. So basically, I'm loaning some money to Reliance. When I'm say I have bought debt of Reliance of 1 lakh rupees. So
Okay.
basically, that 1 lakh rupees has been loaned to Reliance, and for which they will pay me back certain extra money that will be interest. So it can be
Hmm.
6%. So let's say I paid them 1 lakh rupees today, and I expect them to pay me back 1,06,000 after 1 year. So that
Mm-hmm.
will be investment in debt. So in general, you
Okay.
can
Okay.
invest in a particular company in two ways. Either you invest in equity or you give them loan, that is called invest in their debt.
Okay.
So how do you invest in stock market? Simply just get a demat account. Any bank, you can just call up any bank customer care and just get a demat account. That's it.
Okay.
It's a very simple process. So now we need to understand, okay, this is stock market. What are other options for people who don't understand stock market? Because
Hmm.
let's be honest, I mean, it's again a gamble if you don't understand stock market and
Yes.
don't
Yes.
have the knowledge about what business this particular stock is in. So for them, the most useful instrument will be obviously mutual fund, and the,
Okay.
and today one of the instrument that is very popular is exchange traded funds. That's called ETF. So
Okay.
ETFs are a very interesting instrument, to be very honest. So uh, through ETFs, what you can do, you can invest in gold also. So what with the help of technology, what we have done is that we can simply peg the value of the ETF to the value of the gold. So let's say in the market, the price of gold today is 40,000. It closed at 40,000. So the ETF value will also close at 40,000. So basically, it's just mimicking the movement of gold.
Okay.
So in short, without actually owning the physical gold, you will be owning gold.
Got it.
Very simple concept. I mean,
yeah.
And look at the ease with which you can sell gold. For right now, if you have gold physically, if you have gold, you have to go to the market, sell it, and get cash. And again, there are a lot of risk related to handling cash and everything. But ETF, you can simply own gold without actually owning it physically. So ETF can be for anything. ETF can be for wheat also. You can come up. JP Morgan, let's say it's a bank. It can come up with ETF of let's say Virat Kohli's run. If he scores 100, the value of that ETF will rise. He gets out or not. Let's say the number of scores he makes, according to that, the movement of ETF will be. So it can be anything. ETF can be pegged to anything. So that's a very, very useful thing, to be very honest. I think, and people who don't want to own a particular stock, they simply want to invest in stock market. You must have heard that Sensex dropped 100 points today, 200 points today. So what is Sensex? Let's touch upon that point also. So Sensex is nothing but a group of stocks, right? So Indian stock market has multiple number of stocks: Reliance, TCS, Infosys, and many more. So these large companies, they are given certain weightages, 10%, 20%, 30%, like that. They are given certain weightages. So Nifty has 50 stocks. 50 stocks will be given different weightages depending upon, it can be different factor. I'm not sure which factor Nifty uses and Sensex uses, but it can be like, let's say, the market cap. It can be, let's say, the revenue. It can be anything. It can be pegged to anything. And then certain weightages will be given. So 5% for Reliance, 2% for TCS. And their stock prices movements is tracked by that particular index, as simple as that. So that is called market movement. So market moved 300 points. So in general, we say that, okay, on an average, these large stocks move 300 points, because it's basically, we have averaged out all these listed stocks. So you can directly invest in ETF of a market, ETF of 50. Yeah, simple. Just invest in it and forget about it.
Wow, I can invest on ETF of Nifty.
Yeah, ETF Nifty. So it will be doing nothing but mimicking the movement of
Nifty. Okay. ETF is such an amazing concept. I didn't know about this.
It's one of the most useful ways of investment currently. I can even there are a lot of ETFs that we can discuss. I mean, off the podcast, I can tell you what ETFs to invest in.
We'll have another podcast about that too. But
yeah, so I mean, you can just invest in it and forget about it. So it's very easy. I mean,
if you would like to tell us 2-3 ETFs that you would advise someone who's just starting out, maybe, or anyone.
So I mean, a lot of people would have come across, if at all they are anyway minutely close to related to financial markets, they would have come across this company called Small Case. So what they do is that they are just making up ETFs and they post on it. So basically they charge certain fees. Obviously the person who will be managing that particular portfolio, because you need to actually, that person is going to actually sit there and invest in the stock market for you, because there is no actually mechanism in the stock market to actually, just invest in an index of stocks. You have to individually buy the stocks, right? You have to individually, when you say that I'm mimicking Nifty and Nifty has 5% of Reliance, so you actually need to go out there and physically buy 5% of Reliance. So it's a very difficult task. That's why they charge certain fees for it. They are like portfolio managers. So they'll be managing portfolio for you. So Small Case is a very simple instrument. Not instrument, it's a company that is providing these ETFs. So if you own HDFC, if your demat account is on HDFC or let's say ICICI, you can simply search on Google how to invest in ETFs. It will guide you. I mean, you can straight away go to that particular demat account and just invest in it. It's very easy. The only thing is that it's the amount that the investment amount will be a little larger. Why? Because again, it's a group of companies, right? So 5%. So it will have stocks which might be priced at, let's say, Nestle is usually, one stock for Nestle costs around 26,000. So it will be around 50,000. So usually ETFs of stocks, I mean, indexes usually cost around 50,000. So if at all you have 50,000, people who like to just invest like 5,000, 10,000 just to play around, it is not for them, obviously. But it's a very good investment instrument.
But you can invest on ETFs of gold, right? That was also a very nice concept.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's a very easy concept, and you don't actually need to bring in that 30,000 because 10 gram of gold costs what, 40, 50,000. You don't need to do that. I mean, ETFs will be around 1,000 rupees also. You can invest 10,000 rupees. I mean, it's a very easy concept.
Yes. Also, because as you said, if I want to sell my physical gold, it's tough. It will take time. But if I have virtual gold, it's so easy. So
very easy. It's very easy. And then other instruments, obviously mutual funds and everything, people might be knowing it. Mutual fund is also same kind of thing is there. I mean, mutual fund managers, I mean, these portfolio managers are very trained professionals and they know about financial markets. So basically you invest in a mutual fund and they invest your money for you in multiple stock markets. Now, the thing about mutual fund is that it also has debt also. So they have this portfolio in which they not only invest in equity of companies, they also invest in debts of companies. They invest in sovereign bonds also. Sovereign bonds are basically the debt taken up by the governments. So Indian government issues bonds. So basically, when you buy, let's say, 1,000 rupees bond, what you're doing is that lending the 1,000 rupees to the government in return of, let's say, 6% in 6% return. So basically, they'll be returning you if you're investing 100 rupees. So let's say they'll return you 106 rupees after one year. So sovereign bonds are there, multiple instruments are there. So again, I think mutual funds, ETFs. And these two instruments are for those people who don't have any knowledge about financial markets. You can simply put your money, forget about it, do your work, come back with much more money. That's it. Simple.
Nice.
Yep.
A lot of options that were thrown. So if what I understood, let's say for a person who doesn't have a lot of knowledge, he can invest in a mutual fund or an ETF. That is the best option for him.
Correct.
Let's say someone who has some interest, then he can read about the market, read about companies, and maybe invest in equities or debt, as you said.
Absolutely.
So this is how we should go for it. Also, one more important thing that you touched upon, I just like to reiterate is whenever we invest in, let's say, a fixed deposit or something, and they give us an interest rate of 8%, we always need to subtract that with the inflation rate. Correct. To actually understand what we are getting. Okay, that's wow.
And just to let you know the return, or what kind of return usually you get on FD. FD you get 5%, around 5 to 6%. In stock, Nifty usually stock market gives you 11% return. Definitely. So if you basically invest in ETF of Nifty, any ETF that is available, your money is definitely going to grow at least 10 to 11% on an average 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 years, it is going to grow at least 11%. 1 year, obviously, like an exception of let's say 2020. 1 out of 10 years, there might be a chance that your money might not grow 11%. It will not grow even if unfortunate events occur, and it might not grow. But definitely 9 out of 10 times you are going to get at least 10% of return. So obviously it's much more better to invest there than leaving the money in FD, which is giving you 6% return, and inflation is eating out of 4% out of that 6%. So it's totally waste of money.
Exactly. Wow. And also the fact that you're stating that 9 out of 10 times it will increase. It is on the basis of past so many years that we have actually. So it's it's foolproof. That is what I know. So exactly. That's a very good tool of investment.
So since we are talking about like investment and all, so how much money should a person invest? I would just like to run upon this particular point also. So uh, let's say you earn 1 lakh rupees. So what should be your budgeting? How should you divide your money? So obviously, let's say 20% you are going to use for 20,000 rupees you are going to use for your expenses, the basic expenses that you incur. And uh, so what about the rest 80? So rest 80 should always be for an Indian, let's say it's a risk averse Indian. So for a risk averse Indian, it will be like, let's say 40% of that particular income should go into savings. Okay, fine. 20 gone in basic needs, 40 gone in savings, left with how much? 40 again. So for that particular 40, let's say you are going to spend 20 on lavish expenses that you incur, parties and everything, going out and these kinds of things. Still, you're left with 20. What are you doing with that 20? You're just wasting it in the bank account. That 20 should go in some kind of investment, whether you invest in bonds or any other thing. Don't keep it in FD. FD is savings. That is there. That is going to help you in any kind of crisis, in any kind of medical emergency or anything it might be. But that 20 should help you with that inflation, because 4%, remember,
Right,
4%
right.
money is going away. So how do you counter that? For that particular 4%, you need that 20% of investment going into something that is going to give you at least 10% of return. That's a basic thing. Yeah.
Yes, that is, I think, a basic understanding of budgeting.
Yeah.
And I think it's just three brackets which we usually do.
Correct.
As basic expenditure, a saving, and then that investing.
So again, I mean, these percentages that I told you, it can be subjective and
it can vary.
Yeah, it can. There are investing principles, 80-20 rule, 60-40. There are many rules. I mean, it depends upon, you can obviously change it, but you need to have that discipline, financial discipline, that if 1 lakh is coming in, how am I dividing this 1 lakh? If you have no idea where your money is coming in and how is it coming in and where is it going, then you are in trouble, definitely.
Yes, right. And what I liked about that point was you said you have to invest this 20% to fight against inflation, basically, to get that return so that you stay ahead of inflation. That is so required, so much required. Okay. So we spoke about, let's say we discussed both side of spectrum. Let's say someone who doesn't have much knowledge, he can invest in these two things. Someone who has knowledge and wants to learn and is curious, he can maybe invest in stocks. Would you like to share with us some resources or how a person who is curious, how he should learn about finance? I know a curious mind will figure out its way, but still.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. But I think there are certain concepts that first thing first, if you would understand, it will help you. I think no one should go for finance first. I mean, finance is something that you cannot understand if you don't understand economics. So what is economics? I mean, understanding economics of anything is the most important thing, to understand the money behind it. So by economics, first thing first, you need to understand the supply demand. Anything has a supply, anything has a demand, and every concept in finance or economics can be boiled down to supply and demand. If you understand supply and demand correctly, you have covered your bases, and then you can move ahead. Then the other thing that you should learn after learning supply and demand is time value of money. When you understand time value of money, how much money is growing. So the art of compounding, when you invest 100, it grows to 106. If it is 6% of increment, then 106 into again 1.06 again. So that compounding, you need to understand the compounding. And when, let's say I tell you ki Yash, let's say I owe you 1 lakh rupees, and I'm gonna say, Yash, since you're my friend, I can pay you back maybe 2 years. After 2 years, you say no, 1 year. So obviously you need to understand why, how you need to, change that particular amount. So these kinds of things, even if you spend like 5 minutes thinking about what is happening with your money, it will give you that curiosity. And then again, that phone is going to be in your hand, and you'll be Googling stuff, that how is it happening or what is it happening. So just curious mind. But I think what one needs to understand is just have the understanding of supply and demand. pick anything. Just you come across the news that okay, the oil prices are touching 100 rupees. So a curious mind will say, why is it happening? Just Google it. Why is it happening? You'll understand that no, this is not supply demand thing. Then you will be aggravated against the government. What is happening? That the oil prices are pretty low in the international market. Then what is happening? Why is prices of oil so high in India? It's because the money that let's say 35 rupees is the cost for the first person in this value chain. That is the importer, let's say Reliance Industries. Mukesh Ambani gets it for 35 rupees. Then he'll be passing it on to the transporter, then to the person who, that petrol pump owners, then to the vehicle owners. So basically this value chain, a lot of people are earning money, and the government is taking a lot of value added taxes, cess and everything. So that bulk of money is going into the wallet of the government. So you need to understand what is happening, how is it happening. These things will automatically tell you how to go about and learn anything related to finance. I mean, it's just about how to understand the supply of money. Anything and everything is can be boiled down to supply and demand. That's it.
Yeah, right. Just be a bit more curious. Why? What is happening?
Just be like you. I mean, discuss stuff with about any topic with people of that particular field. That's it.
I mean, yes, that would do a lot of help.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Let's lighten this a bit. Tell me about, let's say, your favorite 3 movies which were related to finance. Or not finance, let's stop that word. Anything related to anything, money or something like that. 3 movies.
So off the top of my head, I think The Big Shot was one of the it's a very good movie. I mean, because of the cast maybe, but I think it's really, really good. Then Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. Why not? For sure.
Wall Street, I mean, everyone, Leonardo DiCaprio. So yeah, I mean, so to be very honest, I mean, movies, they were interested me into finance and economics. Movies, the interest of movies is
right.
Like a lot of interest in movies and stuff. We both have had, and we still have. Yes. So yeah, I mean, honestly, no, I wouldn't be able to recommend any movies specific to finance or economics per se. But yeah, I think definitely the one movie one should watch is The Big Shot. It's very
The Big Shot. Okay. Yeah. All right. Are you a book reader?
Yeah.
So would you like to recommend us some books?
Okay. So finance books, to be very honest, I don't think that a person who wants to learn the basics of finance should go for any finance book. You should go to economics books, and there are very interesting economics books. I think many of you would have heard about Freakonomics. So these things, what these books do is that they give you a larger perspective. They don't concentrate on the nitty-gritties of the mechanism of finance or economics. They give you the larger picture first. So let's say gun control. What is happening in gun control? Marijuana control. And when you ban weed, what happens when you ban stuff? What happens when you make Bihar or Gujarat a dry state? What is happening? How the flow of money is changing? What is happening? Why smuggling and illegal activities increase when you ban things? So, I mean, so these kinds of things will generate interest, and then you will start learning the mechanisms of why this is happening. First, you need to look at the larger picture. Then you should go into details.
Actually, that's a very good way to study the case studies. Something happened, now you go deep inside. Why?
So one book that I would definitely recommend at this point of time is Freakonomics.
Okay, Freakonomics.
Yeah. And there is another book which I think it's not related to economics or finance, but it's related to world in general. It will give you a larger perspective of how things are moving, and that will eventually generate interest in reading about certain things. And that book is called Factfulness. I think it's a very, very important book that one should read. I think it's going to really, really help. So I think these two I mean, this particular book, Factfulness, is going to give you a larger perspective about the development of these small economies and how it's going around, and it will give you like a larger perspective of world in general.
Nice. I'll definitely give these two a read. Freakonomics and Factfulness, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for those recommendations, Raunak. Now, diverging from our main topic just a bit, I had to ask you this question because this is a huge doubt in my mind. Tell me about your opinion on MBAs in the modern world. Because you have done MBA, so I just want to know about that. Yeah, tell me.
So the thing is, okay, I would like to throw some stats. So in India, guess the percentage of engineering graduates that are employable according to industry.
Employable.
Employable. I mean, let's say.
Okay. Because I know the stat would be less. Let's say 45%, 40-45%.
Too much. So for engineers, it's 20%.
20%.
For engineers, yeah. So as per the national skilling report of the Indian government itself, it's 20%, and industry experts agree with that. And when it comes to MBA, it's 54%. So obviously, by that stat, MBAs, I mean, that gives you an edge, definitely. And let's be honest, in India, 99% people who go for MBA, it's for employability, right? I mean, no one, whatever studies we take up, to be very honest, in the first place is for job. So how do you look at MBA? That's the first question that I would like to know when answering this key, whether it's useful or not, MBA at all. So if it's for employment, obviously, if you're good enough, if you crack, get into even tier 2 college of India for an MBA, I will definitely you'll be employable and you'll get good enough job.
Okay.
Till tier 2, definitely, I'm 100% sure about it. You will land up somewhere. You will land up definitely. But when it comes to actually, if you want to learn stuff, if you want to become an expert of a particular field, MBA is not for you. If you are interested in being a jack of all trades, I think MBA is the best degree. I mean, it gives you, it develops you as a person. It gives you that street smart attributes. It gives you it makes you a smart person, to be very honest. I mean,
I get it.
First thing first, the MBA curriculum is the fascinating thing about it. You meet people from different fields, so you get to learn different perspectives. And I think before you actually head into corporate world full-fledged, you actually should be having multiple perspectives before starting off, so that you can actually try different methods and try different things and see what works for you. So I think definitely MBA is a very, very important degree for anyone who is remotely interested in the world of business, finance, economics, and want to get better as a person or as an employee. But yeah, again, if you will talk about exceptions like Elon Musk and these people, obviously, if you'll ask them, they'll say MBAs are ruining companies. His latest statement was that, if I'm not wrong. So obviously, I mean, these are exceptions, but I don't obviously not agree with him, because not everyone is Elon Musk. Not everyone can learn by themselves and become like Elon Musk. So policies and measured activities taken as a society is done on average basis, considering the average person. And for an average person, MBA is still very useful, definitely.
Okay. I think I was on Elon Musk's side, but you did give me a different perspective. Yeah, that's right. It's actually also one more important thing about MBAs.
But yeah, I do believe that doing an MBA in India is overrated. I mean, it's after an MBA, a person, it's not that a person goes into MBA and turns out to be like a future CEO. It's not that. I mean, obviously, that if that person is good enough, he will find his way, irrespective of being an MBA or not. So, yeah, but definitely it gives you an edge, and it helps you be a better corporate employee, to be very honest. I would say like that.
Exactly. and also because you make a lot of connections, you meet so many people of different backgrounds, from different societies, and you learn from them. So yeah, I think that is, for me, that is the most important thing that a MBA
Yeah,
gives.
not totally correct in the case of Indian MBAs, because
Right.
again, 99% people will be engineers there also. But yeah, I think,
Yes,
but
but
still, at least you will meet five people from, let's say, commerce background. Still, it helps.
it helps. Okay. All right. All right. Cool. That's the take on MBA. Okay.
Yep.
Uh, let's come back to another financial, another topic in the finance world, debt. Now, I understand for an average people, for an average guy, debt is a negative term. Okay, we don't consider debt to be good. If you have debt, it's bad. But
Yep.
I know it's not the whole picture. Debt can be good too. So, would you share some light on debt? What is debt?
So, so as I mentioned earlier, also debt is something. What is debt? So debt is something, you availed a particular service right now. You avail the benefits of something, and for which you will be paying on a future date, or within a period of time in future, right?
Yeah.
So basically, you want to buy a car. How, if you don't have, like, let's say 10 lakh rupees, and you want to buy a car of 10 lakh rupees, you have to take debt, right? How will you manage that? So you go out there and purchase something, and you take debt from any bank, and then you keep paying it. So I mean, obviously debt is important. I mean, without that, it will not give you an incentive to grow. You simply, if let's say you have 100 rupees, let's say you have 1 crore rupees, and you bought a particular showroom for, what should I say, you started off any kind of business. Let's say you started manufacturing chocolates with 1 crore rupees. You earn, let's say, you earn a revenue of 50 lakh rupees per year. Now you want to expand. What will you do? How will you do? You need to you need to get debt, right?
Right,
You need
right.
to go there and ask for money. Either you will ask your dad, or you will ask your relatives. But how much money will you be able to collect? Limited amount. So obviously you need debt. So debt gives you the scope to grow beyond what you have in hand, which is
Yes.
why debt is very important. If you will be scared to take debt, you will be scared to grow. As simple as that. If you're not taking debt, you're not growing. And so let's say you took a debt of, you bought a flat, let's say in Bangalore, you bought a flat of 1 crore rupees. For that, you took a debt of 50 lakh rupees, for which interest payments will be charged at 8%.
Okay.
8% will be the interest expenses. So 8%, and you're getting FD, in FD, you're getting 5%. Let's say 5%. So there's a
Okay.
difference of 3%, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
yeah.
remember, the value of that flat is going to increase, correct?
Okay.
In
Yeah.
month. You bought
Okay.
it for 1 crore. 5 years down the line, it might be 1.25 crores,
Yes,
right?
yes, 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 yes.
Giving you a return. You will
Hmm.
calculate that return. So that return
Okay.
will be, let's say, 7%, 8%. So 7% minus this 3% that there was difference. So still you are gaining 4% out of it. You're growing.
Hmm.
You're still growing. You're not actually contracting, you're growing only. So that is good. It gives you uh, the scope to flex your muscles. It gives you room. It gives it you can imagine more than what you actually have, and that's simple, as simple as it. So that is very important. And moreover, when it comes to technical things, if you're a company, debt is extremely important, because the interest that you pay on the debt is tax deductible. You deduct it
Yes,
from,
yes.
yeah, taxable component
It's
of the net
yes.
profit.
It's a
So
tax saving. You
it's a
can
tax
save your
saving.
tax
Exactly,
using
it's a
this.
tax
Yeah.
saving instrument, because
Yeah.
you have already paid the cost by paying that interest expense to the person who gave you the debt. So the government cannot charge you
Hmm.
again. So
Okay.
fine, you have paid that, the due money to the person from whom you took the debt. So it's fine. So again, so these are the things that a person can, sit down and understand, and then say, okay, I'm missing on some kind of opportunity. So obviously that is really, really important. Again, in life or in world in general, anything beyond a certain point is not good. So obviously debt needs to be controlled. It should be in that minimal manner. If it's personal debt, obviously it should be as low as possible until
Yeah.
if you're buying some house or something like that. But when it comes to company, debt is extremely important, definitely.
Again, you gave me two interesting points about debts that I didn't know. First of all, uh, debt, this part that it is a tax saving component, but I didn't know why. Now this, because we are already giving an interest to the
Correct.
one who we took the debt from. That's why the government won't charge it. That's why it's a tax saving.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're paying twice for that particular money
Hmm.
that you had taken.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
that's the thing.
Also, again, death is important because we can't grow, and it helps
Yep.
us to think more than what we have. Exactly, helps us to
Exactly.
imagine. Okay, so yeah, death is important, but to a limit.
To a limit, obviously. Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, Ronak. You have given us a good insight about all the basic concepts of finance. And again, I've learned from you in this podcast itself. Uh, so, I'd like to conclude this podcast by asking you this last question. What excites you? If we look at the future, if you look at the future, what excites you in the world of finance in the
I think
future?
yeah. I mean, this AI and machine learning coming with this amalgamation of AI, machine learning, finance. It's going definitely it's going to be interesting. But the problem, I think, currently the problem is that the this particular technology, I don't think that many people understand this technology, cryptocurrency, AI, machine
Hmm.
learning. There's very few certain group of people who understand these technologies, and we are coming with a product which will be used by everyone, almost everyone. If at all, cryptocurrency is going to be the future of currency and digital transactions and everything. So the regulators, the bank, the people sitting behind their desk regulating money, they need to understand this technology. If they will not understand the technology, they cannot regulate the product, right?
Yeah,
If
right.
you cannot be dealing in let's say medical instruments, or let's say even pharma. You cannot be dealing in pharma and don't have any knowledge about the chemicals and components inside it, right? So in
Hmm.
the same way, the current issue with cryptocurrency, which is why it is not supported by any of the central banks, by the so-called big shots, because of the fact that they don't understand the technology. Even Warren Buffett openly
Hmm.
says that it has got no intrinsic value. So yeah, definitely it has got no intrinsic value because no country is backing it. No country says that there is something in cryptocurrency, and it is
Right.
true because it's someone is. So, I mean, I might be wrong. I don't know. I don't understand the cryptocurrency technology at all. So someone solves a code, or if I'm not wrong, some kind of mining is done behind it, and that leads to that brings us to this particular this product, right? I mean, we are able to transact and everything, but how do we regulate it?
Hmm.
Currently, when there is a crisis, when there is an export crisis or import crisis, we are able to control the flow of money by raising interest rates, or let's say raising repo rates and changing other instrument that RBI has under its control. But
Yep.
cryptocurrency, it cannot be regulated. So I think this is a very fascinating field, no doubt about it. So I'm very interested how these
It.
regulators are going to come up. They need to come up very fast because these multinational
Hmm.
companies are going big on cryptocurrencies. So obviously it's a capitalistic market that we live in right now, and everything that comes into the market is because of some kind of money and some kind of facility that that particular product is going to provide. So it's going to be interesting. So I'm definitely interested about cryptocurrency in the long run.
Yes, even I'm interested in cryptocurrencies, though even I don't understand much of it. I like to understand more, but I don't
Yeah,
yet.
definitely. Same here.
uh, okay, so that concludes our discussion. Uh, I hope you enjoyed it, Ronak. What do you
Yeah,
think?
it was amazing. This was my fourth postcard, and it was really really interesting, man. Looking forward to be part of some other podcasts also. Definitely, if you'll invite me, I'll definitely be back.
Sure, man. Sure. You have helped us to understand a lot about
My,
basic finance management.
yeah,
Even I've learned a lot from this podcast. Hope we will implement some of these and grow our money.
definitely.
Uh,
Look forward.
okay. Okay, guys. Then signing off. Bye bye.